Listen to me right now. You can run from a lot of things in your life, but you cannot run from yourself. You can put on a smile for the world. You can wear a mask for the people. You can hide behind excuses and distractions. But when the noise stops, when the lights go out, and it's just you and your reflection in the mirror, the battle begins. That's the war that tears people apart. That's the war that steals your peace. That's the war inside your mind. And I'm here to tell you this, that war can be won, but not by chance, not by hoping, not by wishing. It is won by facing the truth that you've been avoiding. It is won by standing in the fire of your own fears and saying, I will not be my own enemy anymore. You see, inner conflict is the chain that keeps you from moving forward. It's the silent voice that says, you're not enough. You'll never make it. You can't change. And as long as you let that voice go unchallenged, you will live divided, broken, and restless. But the moment you decide to fight back, not against the world, but against the lies within yourself, that's the moment you take your life back. You've been waiting for peace to show up. You've been waiting for the storm to calm before you move forward, but that's not how it works. Peace is not given, peace is earned. Peace comes when you stop negotiating with weakness. Peace comes when you stop playing tug of war between the old you and the new you. Peace comes when you decide right here, right now, that you're going to live in truth, not in excuses. I know it hurts. I know it's heavy. I know you've got regrets that haunt you, mistakes that follow you, and pain that makes you feel unworthy. But listen to me, you are not your mistakes. You are not your past. You are not the conflict inside you unless you choose to stay there. Forgive yourself, then fight forward. Because if you don't, you will stay a prisoner of your own mind, and that prison is worse than any cage this world can build. So today you make a decision. No more indecision. No more splitting yourself in half. No more being one person on the outside and another on the inside. You must choose who you are. And once you choose, you commit. Discipline will carry you when emotions betray you. Truth will anchor you when doubt tries to drown you. And courage will guide you when fear screams in your face. This is the life-changing advice you came here for. Stop fighting yourself and start fighting for yourself. That's the way to end your inner conflict. That's the way to rise. That's the way to finally live free. So don't you dare walk away from this message unchanged. Don't you dare go back to living divided. Take this fire, take this truth, and use it to burn down every lie that's been holding you hostage. The war within ends when you decide it ends. And that decision is in your hands. Now tell me, are you ready to win? The war within is the real battle. And if you have ever felt the weight of doubt, the pull of fear, or the voice inside of you that whispers you can't, then you know exactly what I am talking about. Life is not simply about what happens around you. It is about what happens inside of you. The enemy is not always the person who criticizes you, not always the circumstances that try to crush you, not even the failures that stack up against you. The enemy is the one that lives in your own head, the one that tells you that you are not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. That is the battle that never sleeps, the battle that wakes you up in the middle of the night and keeps you restless. That is the fight you cannot escape, because no matter where you go, you bring yourself with you. People think the hardest struggle is out there in the world, in the competition, in the rejection, in the setbacks. But the truth is this: the hardest struggle is inside of you. It is not the mountain that breaks you. It is the whisper that says you can't climb it. It is not the storm that destroys you. It is the belief that you will never survive it. The war within is powerful because it uses your own voice against you. It knows your fears. It knows your secrets. It knows your weakest points. It does not fight fair. It fights dirty. It will remind you of every failure, every scar, every wrong turn you've ever taken. It will magnify your insecurities until they feel larger than life. And if you are not careful, It will convince you that surrender is easier than resistance. But understand this, the war within is also the only battle that truly matters. Because if you can win that war, nothing on the outside can defeat you. If you learn how to silence that inner critic, how to rise above the doubts and insecurities, then rejection will not break you, failure will not end you, and obstacles will not stop you. When you conquer yourself, you conquer the world. When you master your mind, you master your life. So many people are walking through life fighting the wrong battles. They fight to be liked. They fight to be accepted. They fight to control what cannot be controlled. But meanwhile, they leave the real war unattended. They don't face the shadows within. They don't confront their fears. They don't address their doubts. They bury them, ignore them, pretend they don't exist. But the truth is, what you bury inside of you doesn't disappear, it grows. And one day it rises up stronger than ever, and if you are not prepared, it can consume you. The war within is not about avoiding pain, it is about facing it. It is about staring your fear in the face and saying, I will not be moved. It is about recognizing your weaknesses without letting them define you. It is about acknowledging your mistakes without letting them hold you hostage. It is about choosing every single day to fight for yourself instead of against yourself. The enemy inside your mind will always tell you to quit, to give in, to stop trying. But you must become louder than that voice. You must answer back with discipline, with courage, with persistence. You must remind yourself that you are stronger than your doubts, bigger than your fears, and tougher than your scars. Think about it. Every great victory in history started with someone who first conquered their own mind. The athlete who pushes past exhaustion, the soldier who refuses to break under pressure, the leader who stands tall in the face of adversity. They all had to win the battle inside before they could win anything outside. The world may throw 1,000 punches at you, but if you are already defeated inside, those punches will crush you. However, if you are strong inside, if you are grounded, if you are unshakable, then no punch can take you down permanently. You will rise again and again. The war within is not won overnight. It is not a single battle. It is a lifetime of choices. Every morning when you wake up, you are stepping onto the battlefield of your own mind. The moment you open your eyes, doubt is waiting, fear is waiting, excuses are waiting. They are armed and ready to pull you back into mediocrity, to drag you back into comfort, to keep you chained to your old self. But the decision is yours. Do you lay down and surrender, or do you stand up and fight? You fight by choosing discipline over laziness. You fight by choosing courage over comfort. You fight by choosing progress over perfection. You fight by telling yourself that your past will not dictate your future. You fight by refusing to let that inner voice become the final authority on your life. And every time you fight back, every time you rise up, when that voice tells you to stay down, you grow stronger. Every battle you win inside creates a victory outside. But I need you to understand this, the war within is personal. No one can fight it for you. No one can silence the voice in your head but you. People can encourage you. People can support you. People can cheer for you. But when the lights go out, when the noise fades, it is you versus you. That is the most honest battle you will ever face. And that is why it is so important to fight it with everything you've got. You will not always win every day. There will be times when the voice inside of you wins a round, when you give in to fear, when you let doubt take the lead. But the key is to never let that be the end. You stand back up, you face it again, you fight again. And over time, you will notice that the voice of doubt grows weaker while your voice grows stronger. The war never truly ends, but you become better at winning it. So remember this, the war within is the real battle. Don't waste your life fighting for approval, for recognition, for things that do not last, while ignoring the fight that matters most. If you can master yourself, you can master anything. If you can win the battle within, then no storm, no obstacle, no enemy outside of you can ever defeat you. The real victory begins inside. Truth over lies, that is where the turning point begins. The inner conflict that keeps you restless, that keeps you torn, that keeps you trapped in cycles of doubt and hesitation is fed by lies. Lies about who you are, lies about what you can do, lies about what you deserve. Those lies come from fear, from pain, from past experiences that cut you deep, and over time they start to sound like truth. You begin to believe that you are not enough, that you cannot change, that your failures define you. But the moment you decide to face truth head on without flinching, without hiding, is the moment the chains begin to break. The reason lies are so dangerous is because they disguise themselves. They come in whispers, in subtle thoughts, in quiet suggestions that feel like your own voice. They tell you that comfort is safety, that risk is destruction, that settling is the wiser choice. They tell you that trying again is pointless, that no one believes in you, that nothing will ever change. And because these lies echo inside your mind for so long, you start to accept them as reality. But understand this, a lie repeated 1,000 times will never become the truth. A lie believed will only keep you small, broken, and defeated. The only way to end that cycle is to confront it with undeniable truth. Truth is not always pretty. It does not care about your feelings. It does not bend to your excuses. It does not soften itself to protect your comfort. Truth will cut you because it strips away everything you have used to protect yourself from reality. It will expose your laziness, your fear, your bad habits, your excuses. And that is why so many people avoid truth. They are terrified of seeing themselves without filters, terrified of acknowledging how much they have been holding themselves back. But what you don't realize is that the very thing you're afraid to face is the very thing that will free you. Truth may sting, but lies will poison you forever. When you start living by truth, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop giving space to doubt. You stop entertaining the toxic voices in your head tell you that you can't. Truth is a light, and when you shine it on lies, they scatter like shadows. The reason you live in conflict is because you're holding on to lies that fight against the truth of who you are meant to be. You can't move forward while you're chained to deception. You can't rise while you're buried under excuses. You can't win the war within until you commit to truth, even if it hurts. Think about the times you've told yourself you would start tomorrow. That is a lie. Think about the times you said you weren't good enough. That is a lie. Think about the times you believed that your past defines you. That is a lie. And yet those lies have power because you give them power. You feed them with your agreement, with your belief. But when you finally choose to stand on truth, you strip those lies of their strength. You refuse to feed them any longer. You replace them with the truth that tomorrow is not promised, that you are capable, that your past is not your prison, that your future is in your hands. Truth demands responsibility. It forces you to admit when you are wrong. It forces you to accept that no one else is coming to save you, that no one else is going to fight your battles. It forces you to look in the mirror and stop blaming the world, stop blaming others, and start owning your part in your struggle. But this responsibility is not a punishment, it is power. Because when you accept responsibility, you accept control. You realize that as long as you're living in lies, you are powerless. But when you embrace truth, you are unstoppable. Imagine carrying the weight of lies on your back every single day. Imagine how exhausting it is to pretend, to hide, to live in denial. That is why people walk through life drained, bitter, and broken. They are fighting battles that are not even real, battles built on lies. But truth is lighter. Truth may be heavy at first when you finally confront it, but it sets you free because truth gives you clarity, and clarity gives you direction. Lies leave you spinning in circles, stuck in the same place, never moving forward. Truth gives you a straight path, even if it's a hard one. The war within cannot be won by pretending. It cannot be won by running away. It cannot be won by lying to yourself and hoping everything gets better on its own. It is won by stripping away every false belief, every excuse, every fear-based thought, until all that remains is truth. And once you stand on that truth, you have a foundation that nothing can shake. The storms may come, the obstacles may rise, but truth will not move. Truth does not bend. Truth does not break. You want peace. You want strength. You want freedom from inner conflict. Then you must choose truth over lies every single day. That means being honest about your weaknesses so you can turn them into strengths. That means being honest about your distractions so you can eliminate them. That means being honest about your dreams so you can pursue them with full force instead of hiding them in fear of judgment. That means being honest about the pain you carry so you can finally heal instead of burying it deeper. The truth is you are capable of more than you know. The truth is you have survived things that should have broken you. The truth is your story is not finished and your past is not your final chapter. The truth is you can change, but only if you stop lying to yourself about why you haven't. And the truth is this: your inner conflict is not a curse. It is a call to rise. It is the signal that the lies you believe no longer belong in your life. Truth over lies is not just a phrase. It is a way of living. It is choosing to face yourself raw and unfiltered. It is choosing growth over comfort. It is choosing to walk through fire rather than sit in the shadows. And when you do that, you will find peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from avoiding the fight, but the kind of peace that comes from knowing you are no longer divided inside. You are whole, you are free, you are grounded. So I ask you, are you still letting lies hold the pen to your story? Are you still letting lies keep you chained to who you used to be? Or are you ready to live in truth, no matter how hard it feels? Because until you choose truth over lies, you will remain a prisoner of your own mind. But the moment you choose truth, the war within begins to end. And that right there is where your real life begins. You must choose who you are. That is the heart of the battle that rages inside of you. Inner conflict is nothing more than indecision stretched out over time. A tug of war between who you are now and who you want to be, between the voice of fear and the voice of courage, between comfort and growth. As long as you remain undecided, you will remain divided. You cannot live fully while standing in two worlds, one foot in your potential and one foot in your excuses. That split is what drains your energy, steals your peace, and keeps you from moving forward. There comes a moment in life when you must decide who you are going to be. Not someday, not when it's convenient, not when circumstances feel perfect, but right now. Every day you are presented with choices that shape your identity. You may not realize it, but your habits, your actions, your words, your decisions are painting the picture of who you are. If you don't choose deliberately, life will choose for you. Fear will choose for you. Procrastination will choose for you. The easy path will choose for you. And when you look back, you will see that you live not as the person you wanted to be, but as the person who settled for less. That is the tragedy of indecision. It robs you of your true identity. It leaves you drifting, pulled by the current of circumstance instead of standing strong in conviction. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot chase success while holding on to excuses. You cannot seek peace while feeding chaos. You cannot be brave while bowing to fear. You cannot claim to want greatness while living in mediocrity. The reason so many people live with inner conflict is because they are trying to be both. They want growth, but they also want comfort. They want success, but they don't want the sacrifice. They want to be disciplined, but they don't want to let go of laziness. That duality tears them apart because deep down they know they are betraying themselves. The only way out of that torment is to choose who you are, choose who you will be, and then commit to it without turning back. Choosing who you are is not about creating a perfect version of yourself. It is about deciding your direction, your core values, your non-negotiables. It is about saying, this is the line I will not cross. This is the standard I will not lower. This is the person I will not betray. That choice gives you clarity, and clarity brings power when you know who you are. You stop being tossed around by every challenge, every failure, every opinion. You become anchored, you become steady. You may bend, but you will not break because you are rooted in your decision. But here is the truth: making that choice requires courage. It requires you to let go of who you think you need to be for others and step into who you are meant to be. It requires you to stop hiding behind masks and face the raw, unfiltered version of yourself. It requires you to stop waiting for permission and give yourself the authority to live boldly. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. When you choose who you are, fear will scream at you, but you cannot afford to listen. You cannot afford to hesitate. Think about how many times you've said, "I don't know who I am," or "I don't know what I want." The truth is, you do know. Deep down, you've always known. The problem is not clarity. The problem is fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of stepping into the unknown. Fear has convinced you that playing small is safer, that blending in is easier, that silence is better than speaking your truth. But every time you obey that fear, you betray yourself. You trade authenticity for acceptance. You trade potential for comfort. And each time you do, the war inside grows louder because your soul knows you were meant for more. Choosing who you are is not a one-time declaration. It is a daily commitment. It is the way you show up when no one is watching. It is the way you respond when life throws obstacles at you. It is the way you rise when you fall. Every choice you make either strengthens your identity or weakens it. Every decision is a vote for the person you want to become. If you want to be disciplined, then every day you cast votes for discipline by the way you act. If you want to be strong, you cast votes for strength by refusing to quit. If you want to be fearless, you cast votes for courage by facing what scares you. Over time, those votes accumulate and they define who you are. The worst thing you can do is live in indecision. Indecision will keep you stuck in limbo, never fully living, never fully dying, just existing. It is torture because you are always pulled in two directions. You can't enjoy comfort because you crave growth. You can't enjoy growth because you're afraid of sacrifice. You can't celebrate progress because you're too focused on what you've lost. That is the price of indecision. It steals your peace. It steals your joy. It steals your power. But the moment you decide, the moment you say, "This is who I am and nothing will pull me away from it," the conflict begins to dissolve. You may still face struggles, but you will face them with clarity instead of confusion. So who are you? That is the question you must answer. Are you the person who runs from fear, or the person who stands in the fire? Are you the person who gives in to doubt, or the person who rises in belief? Are you the person who hides behind excuses, or the person who takes full responsibility? Are you the person who drifts through life, or the person who takes command of it? You cannot be both. You must choose. And once you choose, you must commit. Commitment is what transforms decision into destiny. Without commitment, your choice is nothing more than words. Commitment is showing up when you don't feel like it. Commitment is refusing to quit when it gets hard. Commitment is keeping your promises to yourself even when no one else would know if you broke them. Commitment is proving to yourself day after day that you are who you said you are. When you finally choose who you are, life will not magically become easy. In fact, challenges will come harder because the moment you declare your identity, the world will test it. Doubt will test it. Fear will test it. Failure will test it. But that is not meant to break you. It is meant to forge you. Every test is an opportunity to prove your choice is real. Every obstacle is an invitation to solidify your identity. And when you pass those tests, you become unshakable. You become the person who no longer wavers, no longer questions, no longer lives divided. So stop waiting for clarity to come from outside of you. Stop waiting for someone else to define you. Stop waiting for life to force your hand. The choice is yours. The war inside ends when you finally decide who you are and commit to living it out every single day. You have been torn in half long enough. It is time to become whole. It is time to stop wavering. It is time to choose discipline over emotion. Those words are not just a phrase. They are a lifeline for anyone who has ever been pulled apart by the conflict inside. Emotions are powerful. They are real. They are raw, but they are not always reliable. Emotions can change in an instant. One moment you feel motivated, the next you feel empty. One moment you are ready to take on the world, the next you want to hide from it. If you allow your life to be ruled by emotions, you will live in constant instability. You will rise one day and fall the next. You will start with energy but quit when the fire burns low. That is why discipline is greater than emotion. Discipline is the anchor when your feelings try to drag you away. Discipline is the voice that says, do it anyway, when your emotions scream, I don't feel like it. The inner conflict so many people suffer comes from leaning too heavily on emotions. They wait to feel ready before they act. They wait to feel motivated before they move. They wait for confidence to appear before they step forward. But waiting for emotion is waiting for permission, and that permission may never come. Discipline gives you freedom from that cycle. Discipline says, it doesn't matter how I feel, it matters what I do. And that one shift changes everything, because when you live by discipline, you stop being a slave to your mood. You stop being tossed around by the storms of doubt, fear, and insecurity. You stop being at the mercy of emotional highs and lows. You become steady, consistent, unshakable. Discipline is not glamorous. It does not always feel good. It is waking up early when you would rather sleep. It is going to the gym when you would rather rest. It is studying when you would rather scroll. It is saying no to temptations that would satisfy you for a moment but rob you of your long-term goals. Discipline does not give you instant gratification. It gives you lasting results. Emotions crave comfort. Discipline demands sacrifice. Emotions want what is easy. Discipline demands what is necessary. And while emotions will always try to pull you back into weakness, discipline will always lead you forward into strength. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who accomplish great things, the ones who overcome impossible odds. Do you think they always felt like doing it? Do you think they always had the emotional drive to keep going? No, they felt the same fears, the same doubts, the same resistance that you do. The difference is they didn't bow to those feelings. They chose discipline over emotion. They showed up when they didn't feel like it. They kept going when their emotions told them to quit. They did the hard work even when their hearts weren't in it. That is why they succeeded where others gave up. Emotions are not the enemy. They have their place. They can fuel passion, ignite creativity, deepen connection, but they are not meant to lead. If you allow emotions to lead, they will lead you in circles. One day you'll sprint forward, the next day you'll retreat, and you'll end up back where you started. Discipline, however, leads you in a straight line. It may not always be fast, it may not always be easy, but it will always take you forward. And the beauty of discipline is that once you commit to it, emotions begin to follow. When you act with discipline, your emotions eventually catch up. When you do the work, even when you don't feel like it, you often end up feeling better. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. The inner war is loudest when discipline is absent. That is when your emotions run unchecked, when doubt has free reign, when fear grows stronger, when excuses multiply. Discipline is the weapon that silences that chaos. It tells fear, I will act anyway. It tells doubt, you don't get to decide. It tells excuses, you have no place here. Discipline is not a feeling, it is a decision. It is a decision you make every day, sometimes every moment, to choose action over hesitation, commitment over comfort, purpose over pleasure. Discipline is not easy, but neither is regret. Regret is far heavier. Regret is living with the knowledge that you quit when it got hard, that you surrendered to emotions that faded but left scars that lasted. Discipline may hurt in the moment, but it saves you from the pain of regret later. Discipline may cost you comfort now, but it pays you back in freedom, strength, and peace of mind. The question is not whether discipline is hard, it is whether the cost of living without it is worth it. And the answer is always no. When you live by discipline, you find peace within yourself because you know you can trust yourself. You know that no matter how you feel, you will keep your word. You know that no matter what storms rise, you will stay the course. That trust in yourself ends inner conflict because the battle is no longer between your feelings and your actions. Your actions are steady and your feelings fall in line. That consistency gives you confidence, and that confidence gives you strength. Understand this: discipline is not about perfection. You will stumble, you will fall. There will be days when you lose the fight against your emotions. But discipline is not destroyed by failure, it is strengthened by persistence. What matters is that you get back up. What matters is that you do not allow one bad day to become a bad week, a bad month, or a bad year. Discipline is a long game. It is about winning more battles than you lose, about building momentum, about proving to yourself over and over that you can rise above how you feel. The truth is, emotions are temporary, but discipline is permanent. Feelings fade, but habits last. Emotions can betray you, but discipline never will. Emotions change with the wind, but discipline builds unshakable roots. If you want to end the war inside, if you want to find stability in the middle of chaos, if you want to build a life that cannot be shaken, you must put discipline above emotion. You must decide that your feelings will not control your actions. You must decide that your commitment is stronger than your mood. So the next time you hear that voice telling you, "Not today," answer back with action. The next time you feel fear rising, move forward anyway. The next time your emotions tell you to quit, remind yourself that you are not led by how you feel. You are led by who you are, and who you are is defined not by fleeting emotions, but by unshakable discipline. Because when discipline leads the way, emotions fall in line. And when emotions fall in line, the inner conflict quiets. That is where peace lives. That is where strength grows. That is where freedom begins. You don't wait to feel ready. You don't wait to feel strong. You don't wait to feel motivated. You act, and in acting, you become. That is the power of discipline over emotion. That is the path to victory in the war within. Forgive yourself, then fight forward. Those words are not soft. They are not weak. And they are not meant to let you off the hook. They are a command to free yourself from the prison of guilt, shame, and regret that keeps you chained to the past. The reason so many people live with constant inner conflict is because they are still carrying battles that should have ended years ago. They replay their mistakes. They relive their failures. They punish themselves over and over for choices that cannot be changed. They think that holding on to regret somehow pays the debt. But in reality, it only digs the wound deeper. You cannot fight for today while carrying the chains of yesterday. You cannot move forward while dragging the weight of every mistake behind you. Forgiveness is not about erasing the past. It is about releasing its grip on your present and your future. You must understand this. Every single person has scars. Every single person has regrets. Every single person has moments they wish they could erase. You are not alone in that. The difference between those who rise and those who remain broken is not the absence of mistakes, but the decision to stop living inside them. Some people choose to let their past define them. They let shame write their story. They let failure be their identity. Others choose to face their past, learn from it, forgive themselves, and use those lessons as fuel to fight forward. That choice is what separates the broken from the unbreakable. Forgiving yourself does not mean you ignore what you've done. It does not mean you deny the pain you caused, the opportunities you missed, or the time you wasted. Forgiveness is about acknowledging those truths, accepting responsibility, and then refusing to be imprisoned by them any longer. It is about saying, yes, I made mistakes, but I am not my mistakes. Yes, I failed, but I am not a failure. Yes, I fell, but I will rise. That mindset is the beginning of freedom. That mindset is what allows you to step out of inner conflict and into peace. So many people are afraid to forgive themselves because they believe it makes them weak, as if forgiveness is an escape from accountability. But forgiveness is not weakness, it is strength. It takes courage to face the weight of your past. It takes strength to look at yourself honestly and say, I was wrong. It takes discipline to break the cycle of self-punishment and replace it with growth. Forgiveness does not erase accountability, it turns it into fuel. When you forgive yourself, you do not forget your mistakes, you learn from them. You do not excuse your failures, you use them. Forgiveness turns regret into wisdom, pain into power, and scars into stories of survival. The war within cannot be won if you are constantly sabotaging yourself with guilt. How can you fight forward if every time you take a step, you remind yourself of how unworthy you are? How can you rise if you keep telling yourself that your past disqualifies you? That is the lie that keeps people stuck. They think they must carry the punishment forever, as if holding on to pain makes them stronger. But holding on to pain does not make you strong. It makes you bitter. It makes you heavy. It makes you weary. Strength is not in carrying the past. Strength is in releasing it so you can move freely into the future. Once you forgive yourself, the next step is non-negotiable. You must fight forward. Forgiveness is not an excuse to stand still. Forgiveness is fuel to move. It is a reset button, not a finish line. Too many people think forgiving themselves means they can relax, but real forgiveness should ignite you. It should push you harder because now you know better. Now you understand the cost. Now you carry the lessons. Fighting forward means you take the wisdom of your past and you use it to sharpen your vision. Your choice is your commitment. Fighting forward means you don't let your mistakes be wasted. You transform them into motivation. Fighting forward is not easy. The past will try to pull you back. Old habits will call your name. Doubt will whisper, you haven't changed. People around you may still see you as who you used to be, not who you are becoming. But you must fight anyway, because the fight is proof of your growth. The fight is proof that you refuse to surrender. The fight is proof that you are not letting the past win. Every punch you throw, every step you take, every battle you face forward is a declaration that you are not who you once were. The fight forward is not about perfection. You will stumble again. You will make mistakes again. You will face failure again. But the difference now is you know how to rise. You know how to forgive. You know how to move. The past may try to resurface, but you are no longer chained to it. You have the strength to acknowledge it, the wisdom to learn from it, and the courage to keep fighting anyway. That is how you win, not by erasing the past, but by refusing to let it dictate your future. The war within is loud when you live divided between guilt and hope, between regret and purpose. Forgiveness bridges that gap. It allows you to be whole again. It gives you the peace to say, I am not perfect, but I am progressing. I am not flawless, but I am fighting. I am not finished, but I am moving. That peace does not come from pretending the past never happened. It comes from owning it, forgiving it, and then choosing to fight forward regardless. You cannot keep punishing yourself for a version of you that no longer exists. The person who made those mistakes is not the person standing here today. You have grown. You have learned. You have survived things that should have broken you. So why keep chaining yourself to an old version of you? Why keep dragging a ghost when you could be building a future? Forgive yourself and fight forward. That is the only way. There will be people who don't forgive you. There will be people who always see you as your past. That is their battle, not yours. You cannot force them to release you. You cannot make them understand, but you can choose to release yourself. You can choose to understand yourself. You can choose to move forward with or without their approval, because at the end of the day, the war within is not about them, it is about you. So forgive yourself, not because you deserve to escape accountability, but because you deserve to be free. Forgive yourself because you cannot fight forward while looking back. Forgive yourself because every warrior carries scars, but scars are proof of survival, not signs of defeat. And then fight forward with everything you have. Fight with courage, fight with discipline, fight with relentless determination. Fight for the future you want, fight for the peace you deserve, fight for the person you are becoming, because the past is done. The future is unwritten. The only thing that matters is the fight you choose today. And if you can forgive yourself and fight forward, the war within begins to lose its grip. That is how you end the conflict. That is how you win. The truth is this: you will never silence the war within until you choose to align your actions with your values. So many people live in constant conflict, not because life is cruel, not because opportunities don't exist, but because they betray themselves daily. They say one thing and do another. They claim to want peace, but choose habits that bring chaos. They talk about growth, but cling to comfort. They speak about purpose, but live in distraction. That kind of misalignment creates an inner battlefield that no outside victory can heal. You can win awards, you can earn money, you can gain recognition, but if your actions do not reflect your true values, you will always feel empty inside. That emptiness is the voice that whispers at night, the unease you feel when no one is watching, the conflict that no external achievement can drown out. When your actions align with your values, the war within begins to lose its power. Integrity is the weapon that destroys inner conflict. Integrity is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent with what you believe in, about walking in the direction of what you say you stand for. It is about building a life where your choices reflect your deepest truths. Every time you choose actions that align with your values, you bring peace to the war inside. Every time you betray your own values, you add fuel to the fire of inner conflict. Peace is not found in avoiding mistakes. Peace is found in living in alignment. Think about it. How many times have you said you wanted change, yet refused to change your habits? How many times have you said you wanted to grow, yet stayed attached to comfort zones that keep you stagnant? How many times have you said you value discipline, yet surrendered to laziness? That is the source of conflict. It's not outside, it's inside. It's you breaking promises to yourself. It's you living beneath the standard you know you're capable of. It's you pretending that words alone can create fulfillment when it's the alignment of your words and your actions that builds true peace. You cannot lie to yourself forever. Deep down, you know when you're out of alignment. You know when your actions betray your values. You feel it when you hit snooze instead of rising early to fight for your goals. You feel it when you numb yourself with distractions instead of facing the work. You feel it when you choose comfort instead of courage. That feeling is not weakness. It's your soul calling you back to alignment. It's your inner compass telling you that you were built for more, that you are living beneath the power within you. If you ignore that voice long enough, the war inside becomes louder, and you start to feel like you're at war with yourself every single day. But alignment doesn't happen by accident. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires saying no to the easy way so you can say yes to the right way. When you choose alignment, you choose to walk away from excuses. You choose to silence the lies you tell yourself. You choose to stop pretending and start living with honesty, with integrity, with purpose. This does not mean you will be flawless. This does not mean you will never stumble. It means that when you do stumble, you rise and realign yourself again. It means you hold yourself accountable. It means you stop tolerating the gap between what you say you want and what you actually do. The war within thrives on that gap. Every time you say you want something but fail to take action, the gap widens. Every time you settle for less than your values demand, the gap widens. Every time you speak about discipline but live in distraction, the gap widens. And the wider the gap, the louder the war within becomes. Peace, strength, fulfillment, they are all found in closing that gap. They are all found in alignment. When your values and actions align, you no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. You stand tall because you know you are walking in truth. You stand strong because your life reflects what you claim to believe. That kind of integrity creates a deep peace that no storm can shake. The outer world can be chaotic, but when you are aligned, the inner world is unshakable. That is the end of inner conflict, not because the world got easier, but because you stopped betraying yourself. Some of you live with constant frustration because deep down, you know you're living out of alignment. You want to feel proud, but you're not proud of your daily actions. You want to feel free, but you're trapped in habits that dishonor your values. You want peace, but you've built a life that contradicts the things you claim to stand for. The answer is not more comfort, not more distraction, not more excuses. The answer is alignment. Choose to bring your actions in line with your values. Choose to be honest about the areas where you're living beneath your own standard. Choose to fight for the discipline that allows you to close the gap. The fight for alignment is not easy, but it is worth it. It is the fight that gives you dignity. It is the fight that builds your confidence. It is the fight that silences the war within. Every time you align, you feel stronger. Every time you align, you build trust in yourself. Every time you align, you move closer to peace. And when you live aligned long enough, the war inside you grows quiet. Not because life is perfect, but because you are no longer divided against yourself. The war within is the hardest war to fight because you cannot escape yourself. You can escape people, you can escape circumstances, but you cannot escape the man or woman in the mirror. And until you choose to live aligned, that reflection will always haunt you. But the moment you make the choice to align, that reflection changes. You look at yourself with pride. You look at yourself with strength. You look at yourself and see someone who is not perfect, but is honest. Someone who is not flawless, but is fighting. Someone who is not finished, but is aligned. This is the life-changing advice that will end your inner conflict. Live in alignment with your values. Forgive your past, fight forward, and then align your actions with what you claim to believe. That is the key. That is the way. Stop living divided. Stop betraying yourself. Stop pretending that peace will come from anything other than integrity. When you choose alignment, you choose freedom. When you choose alignment, you choose strength. When you choose alignment, you end the war within. And once you have ended that war, you are unstoppable. Because no external battle can defeat a person who is at peace within themselves.